Hey, I'm Jamey with Stonemaier Games, and today I'm going to talk about my favorite mechanism in the game, Raising Robots, a 1 to 6 player game. I got my Kickstarter copy just a few days ago. Actually played it on a friend's copy, though. 1 to 6 player, simultaneous action, tableau, and engine building game. By tableau, I mean you are acquiring a bunch of cards in the game and activating them. That's part of the engine building as you play the game. This game had a really interesting start, in my opinion, because I played it at a game night that it was around a 3-hour game night, and we learned and played it, or a friend learned it, taught it, and we played it. And it took about an hour and a half, but it's simultaneous. And so we realized, hey, if we play this again, or we realized basically we have time to play this again. So we played 2 games of Raising Robots back to back. I really, really enjoyed both of them. And it's because there are a number of mechanisms that are really well done in this game, and the art is adorable. You can see on this box, I'll soon start sharing my screen so you can see other robots, but there's just such a vast variety of robots. So many there are. There are 120 upgrade tokens. How many cards? 96 robot cards. It felt like even more. It felt like there were a lot of unique robot cards in the game, and the art on them is really well done. But let me go over and talk to you about my favorite mechanism, and it looks like this. So this is a simultaneous game where players are simultaneously choosing 2 actions that they're going to take on any given turn. There are 8 turns in the game, or 8 rounds essentially, and so you're going to choose 2 different actions. And I'll show you another photo of a player mat in a second if I can find one. Choose 2 different actions, and then you will activate not only those actions, but also if another player has ended up placing a cube, one of these big cubes, on the shared action mat on a different action that you didn't choose, you get to take that action as well with that much energy. Let me see if I can give you some other photos to show you how this works, because it's a multi-tiered mechanism that basically the end result is that even in a simultaneous action game where you are doing your own thing for most of each turn, there's still a really, really big reason to pay attention to other players, and a really, really big way that you can actually impact what other players are able to do. Not in a malicious way, but just in a way that is absolutely player interaction in a simultaneous game. So let me explain a few different mechanisms of how this works. So part of it are these 2 cards down here. You can only see one of them, the recycle card. I'll flip through photos in a second to see if I can find some other ones. I'm on Board Game Geek right here. So these are the 2 action cards that you can choose. There are, I believe, 5 different actions that you can activate. But in addition to that, each player has a random deck. The deck is the same, but they're each randomizing it individually, that has cards that look like this. And the way that you read these cards is this part of the middle says you have 4 energy. The player right now, the player who played this card has 4 energy for this action. So I chose these actions. These actions or these energy boost cards are random. I don't know what they're going to, or I know what they're going to be, but I don't control them. So I have these 2 cards in front of me. This says I get 4 energy for this action. In addition, this card had a little icon here saying to put one of these energy tokens on it. They probably have a different name, these cubes. And this is the cube that will go on the shared board that I'll try to find a photo for in a second, that lets other players actually use that action as well. This one's a little bit different. This says if another player or if other players have put these cubes on the action, on the recycle action that I chose, I will gain energy equal to those cubes times 2. So I gain extra energy, but I'm not myself putting any cubes on there. So in this one, I'm really hoping that someone else has played a card that ends up putting one of these cubes on the action mat. Well, let me just scroll through and see if we can find this action mat, because it's a big part of the experience. You're looking at some photos here of the different cards in the game. Here we go. It's not a great photo of this particular part of the game. Great photo in general. But this photo shows the action mat, the 5 actions, and you can see there's some cubes out here. This means that various players have chosen actions that correspond to putting these cubes on these actions. In this specific case, it means that at the very least, every player is going to take 4 different actions, and any player who also privately chose the purple action will get to take that action as well. Let's see if I can make it any bigger. I can't make it bigger. Okay. But I can't scroll around. So I will make it small again. But yeah, that is a big part of the game where you were not only thinking about what you need, but you're also kind of hoping that other players will choose an action that you want. This also really helps the game scale well, because you're not just choosing like which action that other players are going to take, but you're also choosing how powerful those actions are for you and for the other players. I really like this system in a simultaneous action selection game. And in particular, I like that this deck of cards is random. You don't control it. You see what comes out before you choose your actions, and you can see what cards come out for all other players. So you can see what types of, you can see if other players are going to be placing cubes or if they are going to be placing or just doubling their energy. You have that information in advance. Yeah, so I think that's probably my favorite mechanism. Let me see if there's anything else that I wanted to note. Oh yeah, there's some nice little component touches that I wanted to mention very briefly. One is this upgrade system. You can upgrade cards with these circular tokens. These are the deluxe tokens. I have them in my copy, and they go here. Let's see if we have a photo. Okay, here they are. So these deluxe tokens, or these upgrade tokens, you can place on the robots themselves to make the robots better. So like with this robot, it is saying, well, here's one that you can actually see a little bit better. This one says, you can activate this robot with 3 energy to gain this bonus. However, if you have upgraded it, instead of doing this, you can use 5 energy to gain this benefit. You can still choose this one instead, but if you upgrade it, generally, you're going to be trying to go for that 5 energy and to get 2 of this bonus instead. So a lot of the robots have that upgrade option that makes them a little bit better if you choose to make them stronger. It's a really elegant upgrade system, in my opinion, where you get to upgrade it. There's still a cost, though, sometimes, and they even play around with these costs. There are cards that have like where this top cost, the default one, is really high, and the upgraded cost is really low. So that feels good, too. My last little observation that I want to mention, let's see if I can find some examples of this with these tokens, is, yeah, you can see them here. So 2 types of tokens here that I think are really clever. One you can't actually see. One is that there are these little red arrows in the game. And these little red arrows serve no purpose in the game in terms of like resource. They're not a resource that you spend or use. All they do is they let you, you use them to remind yourself of things. Like you might use them to remind, I was using mine to remind myself that I had a higher cost coming up. You might use them to remind yourself that you are spending X amount of energy on a certain row of cards. I just thought they're a really nice component and a good reminder to me that sometimes in games, players could benefit from those little reminder tokens. Just something that doesn't mean anything in terms of gameplay, but just as something they can put on the table in certain places to say, hey, look at this, remember this, remind me of this. The other token component that I think is really clever, and I'm guessing there is a cardboard equivalent of this in the non-deluxe version. You can see here and here. So there are these resource tokens. You're tracking tokens on your player mat up here. There's a track. So you're not accumulating tokens. You're just advancing them on a track to show you how many of those resources you have. But on the back of each of those tokens is plus 10. So if I reach, this is like an energy token right here. If I have 11 energy, if I just accumulate a ton of energy, I can flip that token over, start at the beginning of the track, and just know that I have 11 energy. The token itself on the backside keeps track of it, it being a double-sided silk screen printed token. So I think those are some really nice component elements in the game added to the wonderful simultaneous action selection system and the really clever upgrade system as well. Those are my thoughts on raising robots, my favorite mechanisms, favorite components in the game. I'd love to hear your thoughts if you've played this. If you can think of any other games that have like reminder tokens, like I just described there, or any other simultaneous action selection games where most of what you're doing is simultaneous, where there are still interesting interactions in terms of the actions you choose that affect other players, anything that affects other players in a simultaneous game, let me know about that in the comments as well. Thanks.